Is there a theme for the album?
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, there's definitely a theme, and it's called dysphoria, essentially just a an unhappiness with life kind of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lyrical stuff and I guess vocal themes is definitely more on the Andy side, but he has some pretty dark, I call them sad boy lyrics always,
Yeah.
but like
Hooky boy choruses
yeah.
and sad boy lyrics.
Yeah, those kind of like really like emo dark, but he's very good at lyrics and not making them sound cheesy, even
Yeah.
though thematically, again, it's like those dark, things like very emotional, dark, end of life kind of shit stuff, which is
Yeah.
again, he just does it in such a fun way that it's like it grabs that like emo-ness that inside you a little bit,
Yeah.
which is like great, but doesn't do it in like a super cheesy way. So it's not like, oh, this is cringy. It's like, no, this is actually like really cool and different and kind of refreshing, but makes you feel so fucking much.
Mm.
So that's really the vibe. And again, like the Edge of Time's also like that's the closer of the album. It's really like the
Yeah. Yeah.
end of all kind of is why we even ended it with that.
That
But
makes sense now with that big pause and the come down and the weights.
yes,
Like, yeah, that's a very nice
yeah.
kind of wrap up ending.
Yeah, we knew that when we wrote that, even though we had no idea what we were going to track list, we were like, this is the last song on the album. We were like, yeah, and that was it.
Nice.
It's just what it was going to be. Um, but yeah, it definitely has that very dark theme, which I think because Andy does it very nice and abstract. It's not, it's not like I am Andy and this I had a bad day doing this or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like very abstract that it can be kind of anyone can just take it and go with it, right? And kind of relate to it, especially nowadays, with the world exploding and shit.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
um,
You've just
so yeah,
reminded
Andy's
me.
yeah.
Oh, I was just
Go
going to say,
ahead.
the way that you were explaining that. So, my daughter is 6 and she's starting to
Hmm.
listen to songs. So, we'll just be driving. There's a song on the radio. We're not thinking about
Right.
it. And she would say, "What's this song about?" And then we have to be like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, God, what song is this?" And then it's like, "All right, what is this song actually about?" And we have to like kind of think about it and explain it. So, I don't know if you've heard the new Mod Sun and Avril Lavigne Flames. It's like the chorus is like, "I burn for you." And she's like, "What is this song about?" And it's like,
Mhm.
when you really think about it, it's someone that likes someone and they're
Mhm.
sad because that person doesn't like them back. So it's like
Mm.
those simple emo theme, but
Yeah.
then extrapolated fantastic lyrically and,
Yeah.
made into something more that sounds so much more epic and not as cheesy. But when you really
Mm.
have to dumb it down, the themes of
Yeah.
songs is kind of hilarious sometimes.
Mhm. Oh, dude, I agree 100%, and that's why like lyric, I just let Andy deal with it. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking lyricist. I have no idea I'm almost failed all my English classes. So, dude, just do your own thing. And as long as that's what the thing I always tell vocalists is like, I don't care what you vocalize lyrically, but you have to mean it, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
You have to feel that. You have to make me believe it. Like I said, it kind of ties to storytelling with mythology. It's like I don't really care like that. Nothing makes maybe sense sometimes, but you make me believe those stories. Is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to feel like I'm in that.
The
Right,
teller
I'm
is
in that
as
moment.
important as the story in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he always does an amazing job with that. And then I always check out the lyrics after the albums. After the albums, I was like, oh, this is actually really good.
Nice. So, any plans to scream in upcoming songs?
For the Termina 2, maybe if I can get it up to a decent standard, like just for like backing fun little things here and there, I think it would add an extra little dynamic. Andy already
Yeah.
does so much that it probably, even if I did do it, everyone would just think Andy's like doing extra
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
noises because like he's a fucking chameleon, right?
Yeah.
So like, why not? But yeah, if I can get it up to a decent standard where like it actually adds to the music in a really cool way, like I'll throw some backing things here and there to add variety. But I mean, like it's not like I expect Andy to go and rip guitar, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
we're pretty content regardless if it happens or not. But it's always a cool element that if I can get it to that point, we can add, and that's really what we love focusing on. Is sometimes it's just we feel like we finally built a base with the album and something that someone can listen to, understand what Termina is in some way, like
Yeah.
whereas before we just had like singles and everyone's like, well, are they a deathcore band, are they a gent band, are they a metalcore band, like what is this? Right now they're like, oh, it's modern metal, it's all
Yeah.
they're kind of just doing a mix of everything.
Yeah, it's
right?
modern metal and it's a band. I remember when the album ad came up at the end of Edge of Time
Mm.
and it suddenly hit. I'm like, oh, like this isn't just a fun thing that they do every couple of months. There's an album, they're a band, and there's an album coming. It all just hit me at once. I was so excited for it. I can't wait to hear it.
Dude, yeah, it's it was crazy, man. And like Andy does the lyrics and all that stuff, and I instrumentally don't really like theme wise. I'll have some concepts, like one song specifically on the album, "Servant of Death." I was like, I just finished playing Outlast 2, and I kind of wanted to write something like creepy, like with a weird like mythological. I was also messing around with a lot of mythological stuff, like yeah, obviously Greek, Norse, and then also like voodoo mythology and stuff. I was reading into that. I was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like the noises and sounds that kind of revolve around that stuff is really cool. And I feel like really underrepresented. Like I hear people maybe including mythology, obviously from Egyptian, and that's kind of just essentially modern metal using Phrygian and a lot of that heavy like Egyptian sounding stuff. That's basically what Born of Osiris does,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I feel like that like voodoo kind of weird, creepy sound, like no one does that. And I was like, I want to write a song that's almost like a horror movie slash horror game instrumentally, which of course just means heavy as fuck and creepy.
Yeah.
But essentially combining all of that. And then that's one where I was like, Andy, this is the concept. It's kind of like a horror thing. Like you're essentially like almost like you're on like a deserted island and there's like some cult shit going around and like sacrificial stuff. And
Yeah.
he's like, dude, I can got you. And he just summoned demons. Like I don't
Yeah.
know where the hell that shit came from. He just went with it, and I was like, "Yep, you got it." That's the evil song, basically.
Hell yes. So you were saying that you wanted to write a song with a certain feel, a certain vibe, the voodoo creepiness.
Yeah,
There's so much freedom because you're not going to play live. So when you're coming up with
yeah.
effects, have you ever felt like had to write something and felt constrained in the way that you had to think about this is going to be played live, or is everything you write 100% free because it's just for the recording?
If I can imagine the noise, I'll put it in the song.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if I ever have to play a live, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
It's one
yeah.
of those things you just figure it out. Whatever. Backing tracks also exist for sound effects and stuff if it really is needed.
Yeah.
Whatever. Figure it out when that comes. But like I said, my priority is not. It's not touring, I just want to make good, cool ass sounding music, and I just hope it translates well if that ever does happen for some reason. But it's just I want to make the coolest sounding thing that and be creative as possible. I don't want to put myself in a box of like, oh well, this is the screaming sound effect. What am I gonna do live? Go like no, right? Probably not.
Yeah.
And just go with it and not care how it'll translate. Just hope it translates if we need and figure it out along the way, really.
Do you use the one guitar preset as like this is the Nik guitar, or this is the Nik guitar with the Nik guitar preset, or for the album is there a huge range of guitar sounds depending on what the song needed?
There is a range of guitar sounds. My rhythm tone is the same through literally everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes my lead tone too. But yeah, like if there's some effects that are like, here's an ambient effect, but here's like a phaser thrown on just for like a little fun. It's like a lot of those small things like that. But no matter what, it's basically a mix of Nik rhythm, lead, or ambient, or effects tones, and I just add little variations to whatever might bring that noise that's in my head that I want in that moment, or even just like accidentally make a noise and be like, oh, that's cool, record, and that's it.
Very cool. I guess that goes back to like the experimental side of making the album.